Hey folks, so today we'll talk about the architecture of the identity systems, and if you think that identity system is something about the user management, login and all other things, you just partially right. So I believe that every business somehow build the identity systems because they need to manage the relations between them and their customers. So actually, even if you have ticket systems that issue ticket for the users, it's somehow the identity ecosystem. Yeah, because the person who have a ticket have a right to see the film or do something or whatever. So identity is everywhere, and it's not so specific, and it's not so nerdy as majority of the people think. So what kind of identity systems we could see in our world? So nowadays, I'm pretty much sure that 90% or maybe 98% of the systems belongs to the authoritative systems or administrative systems. What does mean? It's mean that who is the root of trust or who formed the chain of trust. And in this case, the root of trust actually is some kind of administrator, and administrator could be the person or the organization that actually what they do. They manage the connections between three important things. So the user or controller, the user keys, and the identity. And even if the user generate the keys or do something or invent the password or invent the authorization material like the biometrics, anyway the administrator connect these materials and let's say the tools to identifier, and this identifier fully managed by the a company or by the administrator in some kind of decentralized or centralized way, but the administrator set up the meetings, administrator manage the accounts, so the administrator is the root of trust. So the problem with these systems that they're not scalable. If something go wrong or administrator go out of the business, everything failed, and it's not democratic. And actually, we are looking for something a bit better, and we have this better with the self-sovereign identity. And self-sovereign identity offer a slightly different way to manage the triangle of the controller, his keys, and his identifiers. And here we will see administrative-less systems that we could divide to two big categories. So first category is the algorithmic systems. So in algorithmic systems, we trust in algorithm and the protocol. So everything is managed by the open standards. Everybody knows how it works, but nobody have the possibility and authority to somehow the change how the system behaves. So we shift everything to the algorithm or to the protocol how system works. So the good example of this will be the blockchains and any kind of protocol based system on top of blockchain. So if you're talking about the DIDs, so all the DIDs that use the blockchain as a trust registry is a good example of such systems. Yeah, and in this system, actually, user generate the keys. Based on this public key, he generate some kind of identifier, and this identifier usually registered in a public registry like the blockchain, and that's it. So everybody could do it. So everybody have an equal right, and we all trust in the same algorithm, and we all trust in the same trust network. So that's one way. Another way that the root of trust actually it's the user itself. So we not rely on the blockchain. We rely on something like a verified trust registry or the system that form this trust registry. And it's the big question. It could be a lot of them, but the main characteristic of this registry that it's self-issued identifiers. So user generate the identifier, user responsible to keep the key rotations and the key changes connected to the identifier, and maybe this key event logs like the carry do is available for other users to verify. But the main thing that is completely autonomous systems, that part of the user responsibility to keep all the necessary data to prove identifier validity and all other things. So the example of this autonomic identifiers could be the carry DID, peer DID, and some other things that just arrive in a space of self-issued identifiers, autonomous identifiers. It's just on the way, so we should be careful and wait a bit. I really believe that it's a future, so this is the post-blockchain, so you don't need any kind of third-party system to keep your sovereignty, to keep your identity. So it's the quite interesting type of systems. And for example, the trust over IP, they are looking for the DIDs that are autonomic DIDs. So that's the big topic. I was talking about this in my previous videos, so you could take a look. What happens on practice? On practice, right now we have some kind of mixture of the algorithmic systems together with the autonomous systems. So for example, you could use the DID peer to peer-to-peer connections, to private connections, to send the messages over the DID-COM, but still if issuer issue the VC, issuer wants to be the publicly recognized, so the issuer will use some kind of DID that are publicly recognized one. And it means that he will be probably rely on some kind of blockchain based DIDs. Quite interesting niche and quite interesting example that not fit into this both bucket is the DID web, because in theory DID web is almost autonomous identifier, but it's depends on the DNS and the domain name, and it's have a lot of critics about the security, because somebody could hijack the domain, reassign the domain and all other things, but it's the open discussion. But you know, so on practice you have some mixture in your wallet of the private DIDs and public DIDs. One is driven by the algorithmic systems, another driven by the autonomous systems, but they all have the quite important thing that we trust in some kind of system, or we trust to the user directly, and we do not have one central authority that have some kind of special permissions. So it's the huge shift. It's a huge shift that will happen in a business, corporate, enterprise environment quite soon. I really believe on it. And you know, so you could read my article on the Medium. I will include it as a link to my video. If you have any questions about the identity systems, about the SSI, cryptography, or any other fun stuff, you could find me everywhere. You could find me on YouTube. Maybe you're watching me on Odyssey. Maybe you're watching me on the Diode Zone and all other things. You could find me on Nostr, and I always happy to hear some questions. I always happy if you will share my video with your colleagues. Yeah, and for sure subscribe to our channel. We will be happy together with my the best operator ever, Lilia. So we're doing a lot of content for you. We want to do more, so let us know what you want to see, and see you next time.